Hello beautiful people. Welcome to Flushpost. Please subscribe to see unique content.
Hey guys, welcome back. Thanks for joining me for another video. So I get a lot of questions from people that are coming out of narcissistically abusive relationships, or not even coming out of them, but maybe they're even still in the relationship with someone. And one thing that is like a common thread is people really struggling to believe not that this person is a narcissist, but just what they're actually capable of giving in the relationship. And so I want to go over 5 things that you really have to accept that you're never going to get out of this person. Now, if you're new to my channel, don't forget to hit subscribe down below. If you are a subscriber, welcome back. Let's get right into this week's video. So one of the first things is that you have to accept that you're never really going to see their true self. So when we have relationships with people, it is our intention to get to know them, to eventually learn how to really be our authentic self around them, to love them, to support them, to let us show each other everything, right? The good, bad, and the ugly, the rawness of ourselves, the things that we've been through, the things that we're fearful of, the things that we're scared of, the fact that we're not perfect. We just become human, right? Rather than that beginning phase of dating where we're putting on our best foot forward and everything is amazing. As we begin to really settle into our relationship, whether that's a friendship or a romantic partner, we become more and more of ourselves. And something that people most often really struggle with is not being able to kind of crack that egg with that person. So you're never going to have a deep connection with someone who is narcissistic. You're never going to have a real authentic soul, heart, deep connection because they're incapable of doing it. They are always going to just portray an image of who they want to be in this relationship with you. So if you know anything about narcissistic personality disorder, then you will 100% understand that what you're dealing with is a character. You're dealing with someone who is playing a role in order to hook you, to lure you, to get supply from you. It's really a very manipulative relationship. And so for me, I think sometimes most people, if you're really truthful with how you feel in this relationship, you will acknowledge that either something felt off in the beginning, like you could never really get close to them on that emotional level. They never really showed you who they really were authentically, you know? Either they were the person where everything is perfect, I'm happy all the time, I'm never stressed about anything, I'm never going through anything. They just weren't able to really be raw and vulnerable around you. Or you're dealing with someone who, quite frankly, is just emotionally no one's home, right? Like there's no one behind the wheel emotionally, and you can never really connect with that person. So all you will ever have with someone who is narcissistic is just a surface level relationship. The next thing that you're never going to get in this relationship is an apology. Now, they might do something where they'll apologize, but it's a very brief, quick, there's no feeling, there's no empathy, there's no sympathy or compassion for what they did. Because in order to really have a heartfelt apology for something that that person either said or something that they did, you have to have 2 things. You have to have a person that is able to self-reflect, right? And able to take a step back, look at their actions and self-reflect on what they did to cause someone to feel sad, uncomfortable, not happy, etc. And then you have to have a person that can also take responsibility for their actions. And that is 1,000% not something that someone who is narcissistic is able to do. The reason why they're not able to do that is because when we take responsibility for our own actions, and whether that's good or bad, we have to sit in how that makes us feel for what we did. And that you have to have an ability to self-soothe in order to be able to do that type of, inner work. So when I feel really crappy because I did something to you, whether it was intentional or not intentional, and it hurts you, I feel a certain way. I have empathy for you, I have sympathy and compassion for you, and I can sit in a space and feel what it would feel like for you to be that unhappy with something that I did. And then it causes me to sometimes feel shame, possibly guilt, right? It makes me feel uncomfortable or sad or disappointed in myself that I did what I did to cause you that amount of pain. So you will feel a very sympathetic, heartfelt apology coming from me because I have the ability to have empathy for what you were just feeling or experiencing. So someone who's narcissistic is not able to do that. So when I sit in the guilt or uncomfortable feelings that I'm having because of something that I did to you, I have to be able to self-soothe myself in order for me to not flip it on you. In order for me to kind of sit in what I did and work through something that I did to cause someone else pain, rather than making it about me and trying to make you uncomfortable or make you out to be the bad guy and put it all on you and that it's your problem. I'll be able to sit with my own self. And someone who's narcissistic can never take responsibility for their actions, for something that they did, for something that they said, for that simple reason. Because when they feel that a feeling of guilt or shame, which they never really feel because they can't even get there. But if they were to kind of slowly get in that space, their ego is immediately blocking that feeling because they don't know how to regulate their emotions. So they can't feel that shame and that guilt. And if they do in any way, shape, or form, they're immediately going to shut that feeling down and make it about you and blame you for why they did what they did and just begin to flip it. So since their ego is always running the show because they are covered in their own emotional wounds that they can never deal with and heal or even acknowledge, that ego will never fully accept that blame, that they're at fault. And because that ego will never accept it, that you're never going to get a heartfelt apology. You might get the words, but you don't really ever get the feeling behind someone actually apologizing. So like I said, you'll either never get an apology, or if you do, it will be a very quick, I'm sorry, rather than the feeling of feeling sorrow. So the next thing that you're never going to get with someone who is narcissistic in your relationship is an equal playing field. Meaning you're never going to get someone where there's mutual respect. They don't respect you. You're not on their level. You are beneath them. They don't respect you. They don't admire you. They don't appreciate you. They don't value all the things that make you who you are. And that is huge because you're dealing with someone with such a grand ego that they are always going to look at you as someone who is beneath them, that they are better at life, that they are better at their job, that they are better as a parent, that they are better at home, that they're just a better human being, period, point blank. The reason why this ego is so big is because it needs to operate in this way. It needs to be so grand because it's masking so much insecurity, so many wounds. That's why I always say, like, for me, it was easy to stop reacting to someone like this type of a personality, because I realized that what I was getting hit with, right? All of this abuse, all of this backlash, all of this manipulative behavior, all of this controlling behavior, whatever it was, gaslighting, everything, I knew it was coming from that wounded part of them. Now, that didn't mean that I felt such compassion for, oh, you're such a wounded little, bird that's flying around in this world and I should just cater to you. No, but I also knew the animal that I was dealing with, and I stopped taking everything personally. And this is something that was really, really huge for me, was when I realized this person is never going to value me. This person is never going to look at me with admiration and respect, and I'm a mutual partner, I'm an equal partner, and I bring value to this relationship. Like, that person was never going to view me in that way, because there is such a grand ego way of being with this person where you need to be beneath me. And if you even try to go toe to toe with me, I'm going to eliminate you, and I'm going to either lose you as a friend, I'm going to discard you. So you're not a good source of supply if you are someone that can go toe to toe. So if you're very successful, if you're very educated, if you're very smart, if you're witty, if you have a lot going for you, as I'm sure you do, and you try to go toe to toe with that type of personality, you're bringing out all of those insecurities in that person by being the smart, intelligent, social, amazing person that you are. So every time you show that level of confidence around someone who is narcissistic, you're never going to be attractive to that person. All they need are people that can enable their behavior, that are insecure, that are able to be highly manipulative or be manipulated, so they can take advantage of them. And I don't want to say weak people, but people that will just look at this person as the most amazing person on the planet and that can do absolutely no wrong. That's exactly what someone who's narcissistic wants. So I always say, if you're a person someone who's narcissistic left you, they cheated on you, they ended the marriage, or whatever the case may be, even if they left you for another person, that is a huge compliment to yourself, because that means that you were never, or you were no longer, a good source of narcissistic supply. You were no longer the person that was feeding into that insecurity, feeding into that ego. So kudos to you. The last thing, and it's something that we've all heard of time and time again when it comes to narcissistic personality disorder, and I think it's a great way to kind of hammer this home, is you're never going to be with someone who has sympathy, compassion, or empathy for you. And this, to me, the ability to have empathy and compassion for another human being, it is what allows us to be human. It's what allows us to have deep connections with people. It is what allows us to be an authentically kind, loving, caring human being. So because of empathy, we have the ability to connect. Even if we've never met before, we have ability to hear each other's stories and connect on that emotional level. So if you're dealing with someone who has none of that, they are not capable of even giving that, because you're dealing with someone who is mentally ill. And I cannot stress this enough. You're dealing with someone who is mentally ill, emotionally immature. You're dealing with someone who never learned these skills growing up, and quite frankly, will never be able to learn them, because I don't say this in all facets of life, but in this facet, it is 100% true. The damage is kind of done at this point. And I think that while some of these things you might be able to look at and say, okay, well, I guess I could deal with that, I could deal with that. This is one that if you deal with this, you're never going to be happy in this relationship. You are going to be in a very empty, lonely relationship, because there is a level of emotional connection that you will never have with this person. Aside from them being vulnerable with you and you getting to see who they really are at their core, even though you'll never get to see that, this is different because it really has to do with yourself. You're never going to get someone that validates what it is that you're feeling and what it is that you're going through. You're always going to get a person that quite frankly doesn't care. You're always going to get a person that's very, very distant. You're never going to get a person that's going to be able to authentically be there for you emotionally when you are going through life. Hard times, good times, you know, they'll probably ride the wave with you when you're having the good times, because you're feeding their own ego, right? You're a mirror. You're just giving them exactly what they need. But when you need them, they're nowhere to be found. They will shame you. They will guilt you. They will make you feel bad for you being a human being and actually having feelings. Wow. You know, you can never be raw with them. You can never be vulnerable with them, because they have that inability to really feel on that level. So for me, it's just such I don't want to say a waste of time, but if this is a romantic relationship, it's a very empty, emotionally empty relationship. And if you can go your whole life in this type of relationship and be happy, then, you know, kudos, I guess, good for you that you can block off that part of yourself. But most of us, for periods of time, are not going to be able to play that game forever. You might be able to play it in the beginning because maybe you're insecure, maybe you're codependent, maybe you're a people pleaser, maybe you've been manipulated by this person, but over the course of your relationship, you will absolutely 100% hit a wall where you've had enough, and you will gain the strength to leave this relationship. So I hope that this kind of just hammers home like some of the things that we always talk about, but really understanding that you're never going to get these things out of this person. And so if you're in a relationship with someone, or even if it is a friendship and you're kind of contemplating, will this work? Could this work? Maybe if I do this, these are black and white facts in terms of, will this relationship work? Will this person ever change? So I hope that you guys have enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to follow me on social media. I will link my Instagram right here as well. I am always doing questions and answers and chats on there, so definitely go check me out there. I am doing an event in Boston. If you are in the Boston area, It will be called Empower Yourself. It is a seminar that we'll be doing in downtown Boston on October 13th. There are details. I will link it down below. You can click the link and purchase your tickets if you are interested in meeting me and attending one of my seminars. So I hope you have enjoyed, and I will see you next time.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and follow Flushpost on social media.